This is lesson 5. Casual form, for the most part, it's not too complicated. There's just one little part of it that would probably take some adjustment. But with this lesson and next lesson, we will kind of go over that. And this lesson and next lesson are tied together. So we have casual form today, and then in 2 weeks we'll have T form, which those are very similar. All right, lesson 5. So last lesson we did adjectives. So we're going to do a little quick mini review real quick. So 5 questions. This is kind of my format for practices and reviews, just 5 little quick things of conjugations. So yeah, take just a minute to do that real quick, and I will go over that in just a couple minutes. All right, let's go over this real quick. Number 1, this room is spacious. Spacious is the adjective that we're looking at conjugating. So, kono heya wa blank desu. Hiroi is spacious, and we're just doing present affirmative, so that would just be hiroi. And you could always put like hiroi desu or just hiroi when you're answering questions like that. All right, number 2. Sono eiga wa blank desu. That movie is not interesting. So it is present tense, but it is negative. So you take the omoshiroi, which is interesting, drop the e, and add kunai to make it negative. So omoshiro kunai. Omoshiro kunai. Number 3, today's weather is not cold. Kyou no tenki wa blank desu. Cold is samui. This is present, but it's also negative. So you do the same thing as the one before. Drop the e and add kunai. Samu kunai. Number 4, kono heya wa blank desu. This room was clean or beautiful. This is affirmative, but it's past tense. Kirei is one of the ones that we've talked about before that looks like an E adjective, but it is not. It is a not adjective. That's just one that you have to remember. There's not really a pattern for you to recognize when it comes to those. They just throw you off for no reason. It is affirmative, but it's still past tense. So you just add kirei deshita. I just added the deshita in the question just to, I guess, follow the pattern. So it was kind of a trick question, a little bit. Didn't mean for it to be, but you know. All right, last one. Sono eiga wa blank desu. That movie was not long. Was not. So it is past negative. Nagai is long. So you start off, you drop the e and add kunai to make it negative. But then you add something else to make it was not. So nagakunai to make it negative. Drop the e at that end and add katta to make it past. So, nagakunakatta. Casual form. Yay! Very similar to what we've done in the past with mas forms. That was my first lesson that I did, just conjugating for polite mas forms. We use the same groups. We have u-verbs,る-verbs, and a couple of irregulars. So, not nearly as complicated as, Romance languages where you gotta conjugate for present, past, affirmative, but then also subject and all that mess. So, no, we're not gonna do all that. We don't have to do all that, which is great. Just a little bit over casual form, using daily conversation. It's a lot more relaxed and natural, and that's probably what you hear more in animes, dramas, or conversations. It depends on what media that you guys are immersing yourself with when you're learning Japanese. Depending on how you guys learn, we've got both a chart and just a little paragraph to explain the conjugations. Both are the exact same, so you don't get thrown off. Let's do this first example. Kau is to buy. Now, the present positive form is very easy. It's literally just the infinitive. Infinitive form is just kau, which is I buy, which present positive form. It's just that simple. Works the same way with any other verb. Hanasu, taberu, any of that. It's the same thing with root verbs, just a little PSA. Then where it changes is the negative form. For the polite form, for kau, it would be kaimasu. You change the u to an e and add mas at the end. So kaimasu, and then kaimasen. You add the ending would change. The mas ending would change for mas, masen, mashita, masen deshita. Here's a little different. This is where you change the ending, the u ending. You have to change it to the a sound and add nai at the end. But because it ends in u, you have to change it to wa, because you can't say like ka-anai, how you would think. You would just change it to the a, but it doesn't work that way. So it has to be kawanai. And that's the same thing with anything that would just end in the u character. So you change it to wa instead of just a. It just sounds weird if you just use I guess. Change it to the sound and add nai, so it would be kawanai. Past positive, there are asterisks there, and we will talk about why that is. This is very similar to te form. Depending on what hiragana character the verb ends with, depends on the ending. So that's really the only part where this gets a little complicated, and I have charts that will break all of that down for you. In this case, it ends in u. When you change the u, you change it to ta with the small tsu in there. It would add a little jump in there. So kau for past positive changes to katta. Remember that little small tsu in there is a jump. So katta. It's not kata, it's katta. I'm over-exaggerating, of course, just so you guys can hear the difference. There is still a small jump, the katta, like that. Past negative is very similar to present negative. You still change the u to a wa, to the a sound, but in this case it would be wa, and then you add nakatta at the end of it. So this is why we did adjectives first, because you can recognize the katta at the end there, which is what we did for adjectives for the past tense, the nakatta and katta, all that. Not a giant shock. I just kind of read off the paragraph, so just glancing at the chart also is the exact same thing. Present positive is infinitive. Present negative is the at sound plus nai. Past positive, I put here it's ta or da with the asterisks because it depends on what the ending is, and we will go over all of that. And then past negative is nakatta. Another example, another chart. I love my charts. Make me happy. This is comparing the mas form to the plain form or dictionary form or casual form. It's all the same thing. If you hear all of those terms, all the same thing. So in this example, nomu is the verb that we're using, which is to drink. Starting with the mas form, you change the mu at the end to a mi because you have to change it to the e sound, and then you add your ending, mas, masen, mashita, masen deshita, depending on past or negative. Plain form, dictionary form, casual form, all that is the same. This just kind of shows you the difference between the two, like side by side. Plain positive form, nomu is just the dictionary infinitive form. Same thing next for negative. You change the mu to a ma because it has the ah sound at the end, and then add nai. Now, ta form is what it's kind of called, but you can really just think of it as, past positive, whatever. In this case, because the mu is the ending, you have to add nda at the end, which, again, I've got a chart later. We'll explain why. So in this case, it's nonda, which is the past positive form, or top form, whatever you want to call it. Past negative, same thing. Add the ma sound at the end, so no ma, and then nakatta. No ma nakatta. This is past affirmative, past positive, the ta or da form. It all depends on the ending. Take a screenshot of this, memorize this, because this will also be in play for the next lesson for te form. They are both very related. It all depends on what that ending is. If the verb, the infinitive form of the verb, if that verb ends in u, su, or ru, you drop that ending and add ta at the end with the small tsu in the beginning. So the example, kau, like we talked about, drop the u and add ta with the small tsu, and it turns into katta, which is bought. Past tense for buy is bought. I didn't realize this when I made this, but English is weird because I just used all irregular forms of English verbs. That's weird. Bought, drank, wrote, swam, spoke. I don't know why, I just noticed that, but here we are. If the verb, the infinitive form of the verb, ends in mu, bu, or nu, you have to change it to nda at the end. Nomu changes to nonda. Another example could be asobu, which is to play. Asonda. Next, for ku, you have ita at the ending. So, kaku changes to kaita. Kaita. Next, gu at the end, which you don't really see a lot of that, just by the way. You change it to ida at the end. Not ta, da. Oyogu, which is to swim. Oyoida. Oyoida. To swam. Past tense. And then last is su at the end, changes to shita. Hanasu changes to hanashita. This is all only for the past affirmative form. You don't have to focus as much on the gu because you don't really see it as much. It's not as popular. You can just memorize oyoida if you want to, because that's like the main basic verb that ends in gu for the most part. Of course, you'll see it like down the line, but it's not nearly as popular as like oo or mu endings like that. You're probably asking why. Ru is in there, the root sound, for ta with the small tsu. That goes for those deceptive verbs for group 1. That is like, it ends in ru, but it's actually group 1, like kaeru, to return. That's a group 1 verb, even though it ends in ru. So you would do the exact same thing here that you did with the first one. So kaeru, drop the ru, and add ta with the small su in there. So it would be kaeta. Kaeta. It's the same thing. But that's only for if it's one of those deceptive ones for group 1, all that mess. Now, I just found this other chart also. The group 1 thing, exact same situation, but in this case, it's kind of changing it to going from mas form to casual form. If this confuses you, you can just completely ignore it. But again, just different options. So like, they're going off of in this chart what the ending is once it's already conjugated into mas form. So if it ends in ki mas, it goes to ita. I find that it's probably easier to just go with this because you're already in casual form mode of, okay, we start with the infinitive for the present tense affirmative and then work off the infinitive. That's just my opinion, but if it works better for you to go off the mas form, completely up to you. So yeah, the kimas or gimas, depending on whatever it is. And then shimas, nimas, like all of those endings, that's what they're pulling that off of. I'm not going to go through all of that because it, honestly, I don't like this very much, but if it works for somebody else, that's great. On the group 2 side, it's pretty easy. Group 2 is really easy, and so is the irregulars. So group 1 is really the only one that I'm just like, hey, take this chart, put it in your head, you gotta practice it, whatever. Everything else is so easy. So let's go ahead and skip over to group 2. So easy. I love this. Group 2 in general is usually easier when it comes to conjugations in general, like mas form, casual form, te form, all of that is just so much easier. For group 2, my example is miru, to see. Present positive, just use the infinitive. Then just going by the pattern of how root verbs work, drop the ru, and you just add endings. That's all you do. You don't have to like change to an ah sound or any of that. You just add the endings. That's all. Miru, minai, mita, and minakatta. Those are really straightforward. I like that a lot. Those are very straightforward. And nothing crazy with the past affirmative form. It's just mita. That's all. You don't have to add certain endings or any of that mess. Group 2, so much easier. Looks so much better. Group 3, irregulars. Same thing. Japanese really only has 2 irregulars, which is suru, to do, and kuru, which is to come. You can see that I've added one more. It's only irregular in one place. We'll do that one first because it's just easier that way. So, iku, to go. Everything else is the same as a group 1 verb. You still do the ah sound and add nai, or the ah sound and add nakatta. The only difference, and you really just have to memorize that same thing, is that past positive form. You would think, because it ends in ku, you would change it to ita, like we did with kaku. So, kaita, ita, like, that just sounds weird. So, adding iku, and then the ita, like, if you did it normally, it'd just be like, ita, whatever. It just sounds very weird with the e's back to back. So in this case, they just kind of changed how they wrote it. It's similar pronunciation, but they changed how they wrote it to make it make more sense than just putting ta. They just added a small tsu instead of that second e, I guess, so it'd just be ita. You still put the emphasis on the e like you would have to, but ita. You just write it with the small tsu instead. That one's not too complicated, but just remember that ending is a little different. Now, back to the normal irregulars. Suru is to do. Same thing with present positive. You do the infinitive form of just suru. And these are kind of conjugated like just regular root verbs, where you drop the ru and add the endings, but instead of being sunai, like if you just drop the ru, it'd be shinai. You have to change it to shi, basically, for any conjugation that you do for suru, for some reason. Shinai, shita, and then shinakatta. And This would be exactly the same if you have those, I don't know what they're really called, but I add them as like combination verbs. So like to study is benkyou suru. So it's a suru verb, but it's got some extra stuff at the beginning. So benkyou suru. You just conjugated the same thing as a suru verb. So benkyou suru is benkyou shinai, benkyou shita, benkyou shinakatta. Exactly the same thing. And that's to study, didn't study, did not study, all that. Kuru's a little weird. Present positive is the exact same, just use the infinitive form of kuru. But I put the kanji there for people that are learning kanji also. For the present negative and past negative forms, you have to change your pronunciation. But the kanji doesn't change. You write it exactly the same, but you have to pronounce it differently. I don't know why, it's just weird. So, kuru, when you conjugate it normally into like the mas form, it's kimas. So that's why you have kita as the past positive form. For negative forms, you have to change your pronunciation from ki to ko. I don't know why, but it's written the same way. You just have to be conscious of how you read it. So if you're reading a passage of some kind, like a short story or whatever, and it has that same kanji with nai or nakatta after it, you have to be conscious that it is ko nai and ko nakatta. It's written the same, but it's pronounced differently. Don't know why, that's just how it works for some reason. So, in that chart alone, you've got 3 different pronunciations for the same kanji, technically. So you've got kuru, kita, konai, and konakatta. But the same kanji's used the entire time. I just put the hero there for, people that aren't as familiar with kanji, of course. But it's still there just as a reminder, just like, hey, same kanji, 3 different pronunciations. Which that just gives you guys a glimpse into what future kanji will be, because there are kanjis that have 4, 5, 6, 7 different pronunciations depending on what comes after or before it, which is very weird. When it comes to more basic things, which is what we're going to be covering in this class, I will still go over all of that. So there's your first little complicated kanji for you that you can put in your arsenal. Your first kanji that is pronounced 3 different ways for some reason. So, woohoo! Okay, so let's just go through a practice. So these are all present tense ones, and then the next one is going to be all past tense, just so you know. I've separated them, but you still have to conjugate whether they're positive or negative. So we can go ahead and do the first one. It's pretty straightforward. I wake up every day. I wake up at 6 every day, or every day at 6, whatever. Mainichi, rokuji, ni, whatever you conjugate okiru as, which is to wake up. That one's very straightforward. It is present affirmative, so it's just okiru. That's all. Number 2 here. I do not watch a movie with my friend. Tomodachi to eiga o, whatever you conjugate miru. I do not watch is present, but negative. Miru is a group 2 root verb, which makes it easy. So you literally just drop the root and add nai. So I do not watch is minai. Number 3, 仕事の後で家に return. So I do not return, kaeru. Kaeru, even though it ends in ru, is one of those deceptive ones. So it's conjugated as group 1. So kaeru, you have to change the ru sound into a and then add nai. Kaeranai. Kaeranai. I know it's weird because it's supposedly, it looks like a ru verb, but it's not. I go to Japan, which I am doing, which is great. So, Nihon ni. Same thing here. Present affirmative, just changes to iku. Very straightforward. Nihon ni iku. I listen to music every day. Mainichi ongaku o listen, which is kiku. And same thing. Present affirmative, you just use the infinitive. Mainichi ongaku o kiku. Let's do practice number 2. These are all past tense. But you gotta decide if it's past affirmative or past negative and work on those endings from the past affirmative because it's a little weird. So, reminder, these are all past tense. Let's just do it. Alright, I read a Japanese book. Nihongo no hon o read, which is yomu. This is just past tense. But you gotta look at the ending, which is mu. For that ending, you drop the mu and you have to add nda at the end of it. Yonda. Number 2. I ate ramen yesterday. Kino, ramen o ate. Taberu is to eat. Past tense of taberu, drop the ru, and just add ta. Tabeta. Tabeta. I did not help my mom. Okasa o, to help is tetsudau. I did not, so that is negative, but it's also past. In this case, you don't have to do that weird ending thing. You have to change the u to an a sound, which the u is a wa for some reason, but it's a wa. Tetsuda wa, and then add the past tense ending, which is nakatta. Tetsuda wa nakatta. I didn't ask the teacher a question. Sensei ni shitomono, ask, which is kiku. I did not ask, past tense, negative. Kiku, change that to an a sound, which is a ka. So kika nakatta, making it negative. Kika nakatta. I went to Tokyo on the weekend. Shumatsu, Tokyo ni, to go, which is iku. This is just the past tense. But remember, this one is the one irregular that we have that just does something weird. Iku turns into ita. And that's one you just gotta memorize. If you got any concerns or questions, send me something. You can send it in the main Japanese table group or just send it to me, whatever. Next lesson is te form, and that's important.